This is Brad Templeton with Robocars.com. I've owned a Tesla since 2018, and I'm a huge fan of the car. But as a self-driving car developer, consultant, and writer, I've naturally been very interested in both Autopilot and the promised future system Tesla calls full self-driving. Tesla has released a prototype version of that system out to some Tesla owners, and I finally got it recently. I've watched many videos of it in action, some good, some bad, and wanted to try it for myself. I have great respect and admiration for Elon Musk, so sorry to say this, but it's terrible. I mean, really bad. After all those videos, I didn't expect a lot, but I expected more than this. My first drive home after activating it was frightening. You're going to see the second drive I tried, a loop around Apple's headquarters in Cupertino, California. I've now driven this loop a dozen times with the system on. Each drive is different, with a different pattern of errors, several of them serious. This is not a complex set of roads. It's typical Silicon Valley suburbia, the same valley where Tesla's headquarters and most of its developers are. There's a fast arterial and some afternoon traffic, but aside from the straight sections, there's no turn or other complexity on the route it didn't screw up at least once in my loops. Self-driving is a very different problem from what we find in driver assist, such as Autopilot, a product I enjoy using. Some think it's just a difference of degree. Even more, they think they are two different things. Now, even if, like Tesla, you think you just keep improving driver assist until you have self-driving, this system just has so far to go. One thing that's not apparent in this video, and others that you've seen, is how jerky the ride is. Rides are full of sudden accelerations and braking, and jerky turns which would quickly get you fired as a chauffeur. These don't cause safety issues. In fact, they are no doubt because of safety, but they show the roughness of the product. It's particularly bad when making unprotected turns. It starts timid, as it should, then advances and jerks when it decides how to be timid again. While this will get fixed in the time, these rough edges show just how immature the product is today. Waymo's self-driving cars have now gone probably 8 million miles in Arizona without ever being at fault in an accident. Of course, in that distance they have made many small mistakes, some matching what I'm describing from my Tesla. And Waymo doesn't tell us about all of these. Even so, it's orders of magnitude fewer. My Tesla seems to not be able to go more than a few non-highway miles without making mistakes of various levels of severity. Fortunately, I did not have a crash. As one must, I intervene if the system looks like it's going to do something dangerous. In some of these situations, it's quite possible the car would have corrected itself in time and not hit anything. One time when it tried to run a red light is an example of when it clearly wasn't going to make it better. A lot of times it was just too timid. Self-driving requires being safe, but also being a good road citizen. So many times in my trips I found the car blocking other cars or even getting honked at. In those cases I intervened to tell it to go, and in some cases it seemed as though it was never going to do anything otherwise. So I'm giving Tesla FSD an F when it comes to self-driving. In fact, it clearly shouldn't have that name, as many have pointed out. It should have a driver assist name. So I'm going to call it Street Autopilot. The problem is I have to give it a D as a driver assist product. Using it is a harrowing experience. It's definitely not a relaxing time or providing assistance. Now, to be fair, I and many wondered if Autopilot, a driver assist tool, could be a pleasant and relaxing product. But if you use it right on the highway, it is. And I saw that very quickly after using it. It's hard to see that for Street Autopilot, even if it gets a lot better. With Highway Autopilot, it takes your gentle, winding highways and makes driving on it like driving on a beeline straight road with light traffic. You're still driving, but it's easier. Decisions are rarely quick. You have to focus, but on different things. In traffic, it does what any adaptive cruise control will do to take the stress out. Street Autopilot is much harder to make relaxing. The car is now making sharp turns and quick decisions. Other road users, including pedestrians, are coming from all directions. You have to stay fully aware. When you drive yourself, You know your plan in advance, and you know when things are going to go according to your plan. With Street Autopilot, it's doing the planning, so its moves can be a surprise to you. This probably gets a bit better when you get more used to how it drives, but I haven't reached that yet. I'll report more later on that. Now let's take a look at my loop. I drove it twice today. The first one was actually one of the best it ever did, with both good luck from green lights and fewer mistakes. You've seen it in my background. The second loop was a different story, but not atypical. It begins with a simple suburban three-way stop.
Here we have the stop. Quite timid here. Worried about that other car, even though we clipped clear right away. And let him go, and then that other car. Okay, now we get to go.
Yesterday on this quiet street, it suddenly veered towards the trailer. I had to intervene. I usually had problems with this ramp onto an arterial road if the light is not green. Many times it simply waited a very long time to go. This time it pulled it off, but highly annoying those behind me and making weird
We have
stops.
a red light, and there's traffic. We're stopping hard because someone, no reason, they were going. Okay, now we're going to, this guy is, whoa, we're swiping back and forth. And we're finally getting into the ramp. We're very confused. I may have to abort this just because this person behind me is going to get very upset. I am going to have it go forward just a bit so she can get in. Okay, now it's going to think about it, and it's still confused, and it's had a long clear spot, and now it's going. And that other Tesla behind us actually was annoyed at us since we jumped at the last second. That was a poor performance. And we got a honk from the Audi. That's a very jerky acceleration.
On the arterial, even though the trip is short, it wants to get out of the right lane. It's allowed to be in the carpool lane. It doesn't always do this, and it's not clear why it does it, though the right lane is, of course, always more chaotic. When it does, it's quite sudden. Soon it needs to take the off-ramp onto a major street. This exit confuses it because to turn right there is a dedicated lane, so you should never stop, and a sign tells you that. But the Tesla with no map doesn't understand and sees a red light, and usually stops and waits a very long time until you tell it to go. When it's green, it turns, but once when I did this, it came so close to a bollard I had to abort.
Okay, it never is. Normally it gets very confused here, but the green light will make it go, and we're very close to that little bollard.
After that, it has to quickly get over. It usually does this okay. If it doesn't find a gap, though, it would find itself forced onto the freeway. Now it has to turn onto a road through Apple's headquarters. When this right turn is red, it's too timid and usually needs a kick.
A red light here, so we'll see how it performs. There's not too much traffic here usually, so it should figure out. Okay, so if there's a cyclist, I'm going to be ready.
The first light on the road to Apple for some reason confuses it. Even though the route is straight ahead, twice it has suddenly veered into the left turn lane and then made or tried to make the left turn. The first time, in fact, it tried to make the left turn when the left arrow was red. I needed to do an emergency abort and back up. Another time the arrow was green, so I let it go, and it decided to take the new road for some reason.
Now we're going to go past Apple headquarters, and it's a clear right turn, so it's thinking about that, and still thinking about it, but it has a right arrow, so now it'll go. Now, the first few times it went through here, it did it very badly, but it seems to be learning or somehow improving. Oh, and what's it doing? It's gotten into the left lane. It's going through a red light. Whoa. That was very weird. Okay, up into Apple headquarters. Not too busy because of COVID.
The main complex through Apple is a bit complex. You have to change lanes if you want to go straight. If the Tesla had a map, it would have been in the straight-through lane all the time. Sometimes it does make the change at the last minute. Sometimes it does what it did on this trip.
This is a lane that must turn left. And it takes a little while to figure that out, but usually does now. And now it has not figured it out. Oh dear, it's going to just go through the lane, and now it's flying to veer to the right, and I had to intervene there.
After that, you end up in a lane where it has to move left to go straight. Sometimes it doesn't figure this out. Most of the time, it's okay.
Figured that out. Yes, it did, and it's over the thick line, but it has changed its lane. We're at the Apple store. People are busy buying iPhones, catching Omicron. And it was on the easy.
Right turns are often a nightmare with a red light. In many cases in this intersection, it would stop, then move forward, trying to gauge traffic, stopping right in the middle of the bike lane for a long time, and often needing a kick to go.
Turn right onto East
And we're going to get the benefit of a green light for our turn here. It normally does not do well when there's a red here. It should do fine with the green, as long as there's no pedestrians.
At this unprotected left, I've seen it wait for too long. I've seen it do it well. One time, it started the turn when a car was coming, but made the turn very slowly. The oncoming car actually had to slow down for caution, though in the end, the car sped up enough to make it through.
Well, we could make this one, so let's see if it decides we can. It's going much too slowly, so that's going to scare that guy, but it made it.
Maybe this simple loop I picked near my home is especially problematic, but I don't think so. And there's a software update waiting for me that may fix some of these problems. Many of them would be fixed if Tesla were to use maps, which they have refused to do. Maps would tell it about the protected lanes. It would tell it about where to turn, where to go, where's the left turn lane, and many other things, but Tesla doesn't want to use them. I look forward to the improvements in this product, but I have to tell you that if you think it's going to be a shipping product you can actually use for a relaxing drive this year, that's not very likely to happen. I'm Brad Templeton.